EverSmart City aligns with SDG Goal 11. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Mark Anthony, the co-founder of EverSmart City. And if it's your first time watching us today, be sure to like and subscribe, and as well look at the past videos that we've done and subscribe to see the future videos that we're doing, as well as stay followed up with us on LinkedIn to get more of our content and to join our Discord to get in on the conversation and collaborate with us and share information. But today we're going to talk about SDG 11 and why building sustainable cities and communities is important. Statistics show that right now 2 billion people do not have access to waste collection services. So, for example, here in America, a lot of us have a garbage day where we bring out our garbage can and we have recycling and trash, two bins. 2 billion people on the earth have no access to any types of waste collection. A lot of it ends up in their rivers and pollution in the same places where they get their potable water, same place where they wash their clothes and themselves in some cases. Um, and across the world, 1 out of 4 urban residents live in slum-like conditions like this, where nearly 9 out of 10 urban residents breathe polluted air around the globe. And only half, about 53% of urban residents have convenient access to public transport, whether it be buses, trains, trolleys, boats or ferries, um, or subway system and such. And there's over 150 countries who've developed a national urban plan, with almost half of them just in the implementation phase. So with EverSmart City, our goals are to build inclusive, safe, and resilient, sustainable communities and cities, depending on the size and which market we're going. So the first community that we're going to be talking about is our one here in Phoenix, our pilot program, our pilot city, right? And so we're looking at this image up above where it shows safe and affordable housing. So if you've seen any of our other videos, or if you have, what our plan with EverSmart City is to build factory-built buildings, pre-manufactured homes, which is going to help make it more affordable in terms of building, having controlled climates to build in, as well as controlled systems and repetitions where homes can be built almost 24/7, 365 without weather conditions involved, because it's all done indoors. And we're going to be building homes using shipping containers, making there's about 200 million shipping containers all around the earth that plague the earth, sitting in shipping yards empty, or sitting in storage facilities or storage yards stacked up not doing anything. What we want to do is repurpose all those and use them to help build affordable houses that are resilient and safe, because the shipping containers are wind, air, and watertight, and you can make them pretty flame retardant or flame resistant as well. Not necessarily flame proof, but in the sense where they could withstand a wildfire and the home could survive. And even though you may have to be evacuated, you could return to your home. And same with floods. The interesting thing with using containers and using containers to build modular style buildings is that containers are very strong in their core structure. So when it comes to the foundation, very minimum is needed compared to stick built or site built buildings, where with containers you essentially only need each 4 of the corner points of the subfloor of the container to be on foundation. And which that does is makes it, especially in flood zones, you could drive piles very deep into the ground, raise up the elevation, raise up the home out of flood zones, especially if it's near riverbanks, and leave them safe, especially if they're wind, air, and watertight. So these homes will be very safe and resilient and sustainable. Using the shipping container modular home style will ensure that the quality and the structure integrity of these homes will well outlive 50, potentially 100 or more years, compared to traditional manufactured homes or mobile homes or modular homes as we know today, made of lumber, being that shipping containers are made of steel. So the goal here is to build safer, more resilient, and sustainable homes while blighting the earth of all the excess of shipping containers that are out there. And a portion um, of the world that lives in these urban populations living in the slums, right? One of the main reasons why we wanted to make our modular home shipping containers is for the fact that we can transport these home shipping containers, as we all know, are designed to be shipped either by boat, train, truck, plane, crane, right? We can stack these on a boat or stack these on a train and ship them into these urban slums and deliver safe, resilient homes, right? And assemble them there. They don't necessarily have to be built there. We can bring them there and start to improve the quality of the populations living in these slums by providing better quality, affordable housing. And by doing that, we can also in our communities, knowing that if you've watched any of our other videos, if not, our communities are designed to be self-sustainable on renewable energy, whether it's solar, wind, waste energy. Using our waste collection systems to convert that into energy and doing carbon recapturing and converting it to energy to provide electric charging stations for electric vehicles, so people can have access, or being in locations where we're within 500 meters to 1,000 meters from a bus, a train, a trolley, a subway. That way, people outside the community that don't just live in EverSmart can still have access to EverSmart and all its amenities. Whether they're elderly people who can no longer drive and they have to use public transportation, or they're handicapped, whether they're children and they want to attend our youth programs in our community, and they're able to take the bus or public transportation after school or on the weekends to be able to get to EverSmart community, as well as that's kind of the portion of where we bring in the inclusiveness and bringing people in. And a lot of it is going to be because a ratio of our land is going to be used for green spaces as well. Um, all of our landscape team that we've designed here in Phoenix have what's called Smartscape certification. And what these people have is another class of landscaping education and training that allows them to build in habitats, natural habitats, and make the smallest footprint there in terms of the building and development. So using materials that really are a benefit to the local habitat. They're not going to bring in foreign plants into a new habitat for the being that they might bring different insects with them that could be danger of that local habitat. So all of the landscaping that we're doing is all going to be Smartscape certified, so that we not be any disturbance to the environment or the habitat that we decide um, to build in, but nurture and support it by enhancing it by bringing more plants, trees that help support these natural habitats. And, whether it's insects, the birds, the bumblebees, the other plants where they can pollinate each other. Everything that we're going to be doing with our landscape team is that's what the Smartscape certification is, to really preserve, protect, and conserve all the culture and natural heritage of the habitat, the local habitat. So as we go into each community, it will be essentially a custom for that community. So we're focusing here in the Phoenix. That's what we're going to be doing in our first project. And as I mentioned before, that these homes will be wind, air, and water tight. SDG goal 11, target number 5, um, targets number of deaths and missing persons affected by disasters, whether it be flash floods or tsunamis. I kind of described earlier how our homes can be designed to be structurally to be lifted out of flood zones, and that they're wind, air, and water tight. So if something were to go down, it could be used as a shelter or a bunker, and say a hurricane or things like that. Unlike um, say a mobile home or a modular home or a trailer or any other factory built building or even regular stick built building, right? When hurricane comes or a thunderstorm or a tornado and a tree falls and it goes through the roof, right? You have a branch coming through your window or through your ceiling with shipping containers. That's not necessarily going to happen. May it dent the shipping container? Possibly, right? But will it destroy it and create flooding inside the home? Most likely not. So uh, that might not be able um, to be integral to live in, but the people could stay there to wait out the storm, and then the home could be essentially maybe replaced or repaired after that, without any water getting home or water damage, and if so, extremely minimal. And it's really just to protect from disasters. Say if it's a flood, what about in California where they have these wildfires? Now the home might not be able to. You might not be able to stay in the home during the wildfire, like because of the heat. I mean, we could potentially, put special insulation inside, hemp and insulation on the outside, whether it's some type of concrete in the steel to be a buffer zone, to protect the inside. But essentially, the home could be still evacuated but returned to and still have structural integrity, instead of burnt to the ground, right? So another thing we want to do is reduce the environmental impacts of the cities, because a portion of the urban solid waste regularly collected with adequate final discharge out of total urban solid waste generated by cities is somewhere in the billions of pounds per year per city. And we want to be able to find ways to create compost piles or use waste to energy generation systems to reuse that to break down um, into carbon fibers or other materials like methane, methanol, um, or even to recapture the carbon so it doesn't emit into the air. And lastly, this whole goal of this first community here in Phoenix is to put everything together as a pilot program and build a model that we can use to begin to go into other communities or nations where they're least developed, where they don't necessarily have clean water or energy, or food, necessarily, that we could create a sustainable model of a community and go into these communities or nations that are least developed and be able to provide the sustainable way of living, of safe, resilient, sustainable, inclusive homes. And we're just talking about the homes here. We're not even going to get into the blockchain aspects of this project. That's for other videos. So if you want to check out those other videos and see what I mean about how we then include blockchain and NFTs and cryptocurrencies and communities to make this model even more sustainable and safer and resilient, be sure to check out all our other videos. Join our Discord, join the chat if you like talking about this stuff. This stuff interests you. Communities or organizations that would love something like this or would love to contribute in some way, type of form. Join the Discord, connect with us in LinkedIn, find me on LinkedIn, and be sure to watch our other videos.